Observation as an alternative assessment method in assessing second language productive skills. The aim of this research is to study the impact of observation on the assessment of language learners' writing and speaking performance. It also explores their contribution to the development of their self and peer assessment that enhance learner autonomy. Alternative assessment, known as assessment for learning, is an integral part of the learning and teaching process. Students are active participants. The learner autonomy and self-directed learning is enhanced. Real-life context and meaningful authentic tasks are used. Also, it focuses on both process and product of learning. It provides descriptive and essential information and feedback. At last, students are encouraged to set realistic goals based on clearly set evaluation criteria. Observation is a non-judgmental description of classroom events which can be analyzed and given interpretation. It captures some aspects of communicative language performance, such as human skills and behaviors that are not collected through conventional paper and pencil tests. It gathers information about the effectiveness on the teacher's educational and instructional practices and the students' needs and attitudes. It doesn't disturb the learners, but it is implemented in their daily activities. Observation builds up competencies that last in time, such as critical thinking, self-assessment, and motivation. Student assessment through observation includes self-assessment and peer assessment, and teacher's assessment includes anecdotal records and rating scales. Assessing writing and speaking through observation. Assessing writing. Writing is seen as a developmental process and not as a linear one paying attention on the meaning, content, and organization that the form of the writing product. Emphasis is placed on the process of learning and teaching the writing skill. Use of authentic tasks representing real-life communicative tasks and require application of acquired knowledge. Assessing speaking. It focuses on both the process and product of speaking. Students are provided with conditions of real communication such as the speaking tasks are authentic, context-based, and reflect the real English language use. The research method is a mixed methods approach, quantitative and qualitative. The participants are 3 English foreign language girls, aged between 13 and 14. The research tools are a needs analysis questionnaire, a writing and speaking skills questionnaire, self and peer assessment checklists, observation rating scales, anecdotal records, and student and teacher conferences. The needs analysis questionnaire findings. The students faced difficulties in writing and speaking. Their attitude towards these skills was further investigated through a writing and speaking questionnaire. Thus, there was the need for them to receive some strategic training concerning these skills in order to overcome their problems. During the lessons, the learners seemed to have employed several learning strategies such as keeping notes, editing, initiating a discussion, using fillers in order to perform the tasks. Self and peer assessment writing and speaking checklists. Students reflected critically on their performance, making judgments about it, revealing increased self-awareness and control over their learning, thus gaining a better insight of their strengths and weaknesses. Students were confident to assess their peers' writing and reflected critically on them, since they noticed the points the text needed to be improved. Rating scales. The students' writing and speaking skills and competencies were gradually evolved since the test scores reached high rates. Student-teacher conference results. Additional feedback was offered. Students confirmed understanding of evaluation criteria. They expressed the belief their teacher had evaluated them rather fairly. Students expressed a preference for the particular assessment sim over written exams and tests. By becoming familiar with the writing and speaking process, they felt proud and more confident about their writing and speaking skills thus developing a sense of achievement. The assessment theme of observation. Observation enhances autonomous learning. Students are active participants in the assessment process. Reliable and valid methods of assessment. It promotes the student's linguistic and communicative development. Conclusion. Observation turned out to be a valuable teaching and assessment tool since it offered an overview of the student's linguistic and communicative development. Using rating scales based on the ECCE official assessment criteria and anecdotal emphasis and anecdotal criteria, emphasis was placed using rating scales based on official assessment criteria and anecdotal records. Emphasis was placed on the process rather than the product of writing or speaking, and multiple dimensions of the participants' progress were measured. The results obtained from multiple tools provided evidence of the students' gradual improvement of their writing and speaking performance during the observation implementation. Thank you for your attention.